Use the Torah to keep you strong. Determination. Haya lo ratzon. He had a desire. With a ratzon, you go all the way. What's the difference between your kesher to your Hebrew teacher versus your math teacher or your science teacher? My background. My name is Dr. Jack Cohen. היום קוראים אותי גם הרב. המשפחה שלי תלחם. אתם מכירים את זה? My grandfather took the family from Halab, Syria, Aleppo, to Yerushalayim, to Buenos Aires, to Cairo. I was born in Cairo. And my father and my uncles were Talmidim Shel Chacham Ovadia Yosef. It was right after he finished Yeshivat Pirat Yosef, the first job he has as a rabbi, he was Av Beit Din of Mitzrayim. And so, after the 6-day war, we went to New York, because you couldn't live anymore in an Arab country, and I grew up in the Syrian community in Brooklyn. I went to the Talmud Torah of the Syrian community. I went to Yeshiva University High School. I went to NYU and Harvard for college. I went to NYU Medical School. I became an orthopedic surgeon. I was a doctor of the Olympic Games in 1984 in Los Angeles. I came back to start an office in New York. So when I was 10 years old, one of the Gedolei Hador, moved into the Shechunah of the Syrian community, and he would become my rabbi for life. Rabbi Victor Miller. He's Gadol, he was one of the Gedolei Hador. He was the person who helped me, he influenced me, he guided me. And he encouraged me to give shiurim and to help people, a lot of young people. So after I became a doctor, I would work 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock. In the morning, I was a Magid Shi'ur in Ashkenaz yeshivot, not Sfaradi, Ashkenaz. Guys coming back from Israel, 21, 22, and now they have to make decisions for life. They're going to college, they're working, some are staying in yeshiva, and many of them came to me with questions on dating. And I didn't know too much 30 years ago, but then I started doing the education. And little by little, I became an expert at it. I was finding myself under hundreds, if not thousands, of chupot that I helped a lot of young guys get married. I moved to Miami in 2001 to get a little change from in America, there's a lot of lawsuits of doctors, and there's a lot of them are shtuyot. So I said, I need to get out of New York because it was making me crazy. I did a lot of surgery. But I thought I was going there to be a doctor. That was important. I had a very nice office there. I ended up starting Avot Uvanim for the first one for the Sfaradim in Miami. In New York, with my 5 friends, we started probably the most Hashub Kollel in the Syrian community. It's called Keter Sion. And I ran Avot Uvanim for them. And our first graduate, you probably know him, Eli Mansour. He was the first student from our Kollel. When I was in Miami, I taught at University of Miami every Wednesday night for people that are not religious. Lo datim bichlal. They wanted a dugma of someone who's a professional to show people that you could be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant and believe in God. In the universities, there's such thing. There's no God in their life. God doesn't exist. Understand? So that was very successful. We came back to New York because I really wanted my daughters to marry Bnei Torah from the Syrian community, and that was a good thing. So my daughters got married, and I continued my work for Klal Yisrael in this area. About 6 years ago, my shiurim only were private. Somebody put up my classes on a big website called Torah Anytime, and I started getting requests for help from people from all over the world to help them. Is the camera running? I just want to make sure. Camera's on? Mm-hmm. It's good? Okay, tov, mitzvah. All right. And so I saw there was such a need for what I do. that I put my medical life on the side to focus on this. Today, probably have about 600 shiurim online on dating, thousands of YouTubes, and it was just a miracle how I ended up here. I'm very busy, thank God. One cousin of mine, Tzion Talham in London, met Joey Talham from Panama. He was visiting London, and he said, you know, we have a cousin in Panama. I didn't know we even had any family here. So I said to him, Tzion, I'll call him in Panama, but we'll make a 3-way WhatsApp. And I'll tell him who I am, and you'll tell him you met him. So that was 2 months ago. And we spoke on WhatsApp, and I said, you know, this is what I do. And I sent him all of my shiurim. So I have to talk to Ezra Cohen. And we started talking about the idea of me coming to Panama. And here I am. So I'm going to give you guys a nice class today. Okay, here we go.
We start with the...
Yes. In Parashat Vayishlach, Yaakov prepares the Malachim. And he tells them, you're going to go to my brother Esav, and you're going to be prepared, because he has to prepare for Milchama, for Doron, for Shalom. He splits up, he sends gifts. And he tells them, here are 3 questions that my brother is going to ask you. Esav is going to ask you these questions. And these are the 3 questions we can ask ourselves about our lives. When the Malachim get to Esav, Yaakov says, be prepared for these 3 questions. Mi ata, who are you? When he sees the gifts, who do these belong to? And where are you going? So I like to say, these are the 3 questions we have to ask ourselves in life. Who are you? What are you doing with the gifts that Hashem gave you? And which direction are you going? That's today's noseh. That's how I'm going to present my lecture today. Who are you? What are you doing what's your tafkid in life? What are you doing? Right? With your talents? Some of you are going to be great businessmen. Some of you may be tremendous talmidei hachamim. Some of you may go into construction. Some of you become a doctor or a lawyer. We're going to get into that a little bit. So that's the questions we're going to ask. Now, so number 1, you have to think success. It's very important for a young man to have good confidence, pitu atzmi, that I can do this. Not just can I be successful in kesef, that I can be successful to finish a Masechet Gemara. You know, I remember when I was young, I just got married, so I used to go with the Syrian community to Monsey, New York, right? We used to spend the summer in Monsey. Monsey is a beautiful city, gorgeous, and it's quiet, it's green. And there was a Rosh Kollel there. His name was Rabbi Silverstein. And he was learning Gemara. He tells me, Omar li davar nifla'a. He was a lawyer from Columbia Law School. Columbia. This is one of the most hashuv universities in New York. And he says to me, you see this Gemara? What I used to learn in law school is a joke compared to Gemara. It's a joke. You understand? He said, this is the real life. That's life. So that's, what am I doing with my talents? Number 2, the Yetzer Hara is going to fight you and make you think you're a loser. That my friend is better. My cousin is better. I can't do this. So you have to, don't let him beat you. Understand? A successful person is not the Ilui. You know, it's very interesting. I found in my life that the valedictorian, the number 1 guy in the class, he's not always the most successful. You know who's the most successful? The guy's right in the middle. Not number 1, number 5, number 10, number 20. You know why? They're hard workers. Work hard. You don't have to be a genius to be successful. You understand? Some of the best rabbis are not great because they're Elohim, they're matnidim. They're consistent. They come every day to the Beit Midrash. You understand? You don't have to be a genius, but you need to be consistent. Next. Think big, especially when it comes to accomplishments in life. Of course you want to make a lot of money. But develop yourself as a person and use the Torah to guide you. Let me tell you an incredible story. 2 weeks ago, we lost a great man, Rabbi Gershon Edelstein. He was Rosh Yeshiva of Panovich, 101. There was another Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Michal Yehuda Lefkowitz. He was considered Rosh Yeshiva Panovich at Tzeirim. He was a short man. He had such hamimut. He was such a warm man. I once came to say hello. There was a line from here to the other side of the wall for 10 seconds of his time. But he made you feel like a superstar. He tells the story, right? A guy came to him in Kollel, and he's telling him about all his problems in life. He's in Kollel, he's in Avrech, and he tells him, Lo holech li bichlal b'chayim. Nothing is going for me in life. I'm a failure. I'm not succeeding. Nothing is going right. Kol hapanim. Again, please stop me if you don't understand anything, and I'll explain it to you. So the Rabbi Michal Yehuda Lefkowitz, Amado, Tagid li, ma ta lomed? What are you learning? He goes, Baba Basra, Baba Batra. He says, do you enjoy it? Ken, my learning is what gives me my life. It gives me food. If not for my learning, I would go crazy. And so he says, to tell me about the sugya that you're learning. So he says, he starts talking to him a little bit, and then he says, Rabbi, I didn't come here, I'm going to explain to you in Yiddish, to handle in Torah. I didn't come here to talk about Torah. I don't want to live. That's why I came here. I didn't come here to discuss Torah. Listen to what he tells him. Many years ago, listen to this story. He says, let me tell you a story. Rabbi Lefkowitz Amado. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, there was a man carrying a samovar. You know what a samovar is? It has hot water for Shabbos, for Shabbat. It's the urn, for cafe, agua caliente, And he's carrying it. Now, it's not like today where it's electric. 50, 60 years ago, you have to heat it up and you just put it down. So it's patuach, it's open. And he's carrying it. And his baby is between his legs. A 1-year-old baby. And he trips on the baby, pach, kills the kid. Met. He started losing, Rabbi Lefkowitz is telling him the story. He started losing weight. Lo ochel. Now depressia. Now he was I killed my son. So someone tells him, they sees that the guy's not eating, he's depressed. He goes, there's no hope for you. There's only one person in the world who could save you. The Hazon Ish. Gotta go visit him. So he goes to visit the Hazon Ish, and he's crying to the Hazon Ish. Hazon Ish was Gadol Olam. He tells him how he killed his son. He has no desire to live. He wishes he could kill himself for what he did to his child. Hazon Ish says to him, tell me, what are you learning? Baba Kama. Okay, let's talk about learning. And he starts talking to him about learning. And he says to him, same thing. I didn't come here to talk about learning. I'm depressed. I want to kill myself. The Hazon Ish says to him, my friend, if you want to go forward, kadima in life, the only way you could survive and live is if you use your Torah to be strong. Then Rav Lefkowitz, back to the story, Amalo, you know who that man was? Me! I killed my son. And if not for listening to Hazon Lefkowitz, who haraget the ben shelo, if I didn't listen to the Hazon Ish, I would be an old man feeding bread to the birds in the park today. Shemata et zeh? Is it sipur? I killed my son. I did the same thing you have. So he tells him, use the Torah to keep you strong. I know you have problems with money. I know you have problems, shalom bayit. But the only thing that's going to save you is this. You need to make decisions in life about getting a job, shidduchim, buying a house, making money, jobs, right? Let's go back in time a little bit to when a man by the name of Kalba Sabua is one of the richest men in Israel. Kaba Sabua was the Bill Gates of his time. You had Kaba Sabua, you had Naktimon Ben Gurion and Bitisita Kese, three very rich guys. They could feed the whole country by themselves for 21 years. Kaba Sabua has farms and they're losing money. People are stealing from him. His workers are stealing from him every day. He had a lot of property. He had Hamon Son, Bakar, cattle, and everyone's stealing from him. So his neighbor says to him, you need to fix the problem. You need a supervisor who's going to watch the workers because they're all stealing. I got a great guy for you. Get to work. Yeah. So there's a guy called Akiva, and he's not religious. He doesn't keep anything, but he's a great worker. Let me recommend him to you. Hire him. He's going to fix the business. So he hires Akiva ben Yosef. I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about over here. And suddenly, the business is not losing money anymore. Now, Kaba Sabua is making money again. And profits are up. Profits are up. And things are going good. And now the bad news comes. That Rabbi Hanan ben Zagai passed away, Niftar. Kaba Sabua had one child, a daughter, Rahel. Right? She hears the news and she says, oh, yay, ma yehem am Yisrael. Hamanhig shelanu niftar. And her father is trying to get her married. But she wants a real ben Torah. Thank you. Toda Rabbah. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay. So anyway, and every boy that her father brings her, she says, no, they just want to get married to her because of the flus, the kesef. That's it. Not because, you guys understand Arabic? Okay, the flus. Yeah, everyone knows flus. So anyway, gel. So she's saying, every boy that her father brings to meet her, nah. These are not people who care about Klal Yisrael. One day, it's time for Gozez Hatzon. You know, the sheep now are full of wool, tzimir. It's time to shave the sheep. It's a big day. That's Kesef day. You know, you make money that day. Now he's going to take all this wool and sell it. And who is supervising the work? Akiva. So she comes out and she says, Akiva, Shemata Makara, Hamanhik Shekla Yisrael Niftar. So he says, Machpadli, what do I care? I don't like these rabbis. I hate these rabbis. You know what? When it comes to Tuman Tahora, they won't touch me because I'm not a Haver. You guys learned a little bit of Tuman Tahora. In the old days, people were very careful when it comes to Tuman Tahora. And a person who was religious was careful not to come so close to someone who was considered an Amma Aretz. And Akiva says, they look at me like an Amma Aretz. They don't give me respect. They look down on me. I hate these rabbis. She says, you only speak that way because you never tasted Torah. But I watch you, she says. I see how hard you work. I see that you have good values. And if you put your mind to it, you could be a great leader, she tells him. If you put your mind to it. And he says to her, really? You believe in that? She says, absolutely. But you should go ask my father if he'll let you marry me. And that becomes the whole story of how Akiva becomes Rabbi Akiva, and he becomes the Gadol Hador of his generation. Gentlemen, determination. Hayal Ratzon. He had a desire. With a Ratzon, you go all the way. So tomorrow, when you say, don't ask for kesef, ask for Ratzon. That's very important. So now, it's important, I want to take you to an interesting point. It's important that you know that the Yetzer Hara is going to fight you in life. Zachiti, we have a fantastic yeshiva in New York called Chaim Berlin. I learned in Chaim Berlin 16 years. 16 shana. Hayiti shama. Chaim Berlin was started by a Mabal Machshava that was Gadol Olam, Yitzhak Hutner, who bana Artzot HaBerit. He built the America. All his students today are the rabbis in LA, Chicago, Memphis, Minnesota, everywhere. Now, in 1965, when America was just starting and Judaism was building again very slowly, he gets a letter. This is one of the most famous letters in America. You guys in Panama are going to learn about it. זה מכתב חשוב מאוד. כל ראש ישיבה בארצות הברית מכירים את המכתב הזאתי. Okay, he gets a letter from one of his students who's a rabbi now, somewhere in the middle of the country. Rosh Yeshiva, I'm a loser. I'm not accomplishing. It's not like when I was in Beit Midrash and I used to accomplish and finish Masechtot and accomplish so much. Today, my learning is in Yiddish, shvach, harash, weak. I'm not accomplishing anything in my life. Listen to what he writes in. Many of the mistakes people make is that they think that the Gadol Hador or Tzaddikim came out a Tzaddik. Hacham Ovadia came out a genius. Havetz Haim came out never speaking Lashon Hara. Wrong. Do you know how many times he tells him? Do you know how many times the Havetz Haim spoke Lashon Hara until he became the Havetz Haim? Do you know how many times Hacham Ovadia made mistakes until he became Hacham Ovadia? I have to tell you what he tells him. Da lecha habibi. Listen to this. This is the most important thing you guys can learn. Da lecha habibi. Know, my beloved one. Sheshoresh nishmatcha lo shalva shar yetzer hatov. That your root in this world is not the peace that you get with the yetzer tov, but dafka b'milchama shel yetzer hara. Do you understand that? Your success is not when times are good. Your success is when you have problems in life. And how do you deal with it? Right? Here's the mistake he tells them, people make. In Mishleh, it says, Kisheva yipol tzadik v'kam. But he says, Ha'olam tipshim. They don't understand this pasuk. They say, Kisheva yipol tzadik v'kam. 7 times a tzaddik falls and he gets up. No! That's not the way you say the pasuk. Kisheva yipol, tzaddik v'kam. Anybody who comes down and gets up again is a tzaddik. Not that you're born a tzaddik. You don't have to be born a tzaddik, but just don't stay down. Get up, even if the Yetzer Hara tries to make you feel bad. So you made a mistake. Okay, yalla, next. Forget about it. Tomorrow's a new day. You can do teshuvah, say I'm sorry, and move on. Don't let the Yetzer Hara keep you down. Right? Kisheva yipol, tzaddik v'kam. I remember when my Rebbe was alive, Alav Shalom, Rav Vigdor Miller, Davar Nifla he showed us. It was 1985. He says, Hayom en lanu davarim kazotim. Hapam, if you wanted someone's telephone number, Hayom יש לנו telephone וגוגל. But היה ספר גדול, כמו זאתי, and this was all of New York. So you could just open, קוראים את זה white pages. Yellow pages and white pages. Or your white pages, היה פרטי, the yellow pages, the business. Okay, so now, like this, right? This was the book of 1985. He went into the closet, ופתח את הספר של 1955, double. מה קרה? What happened? So let me tell you a story, and you'll understand where I'm going with this.
The libro, ¿es el libro? Directorio. El directorio.
Yeah.
En Panamá había. No, ya no se hace. Ya algunos se lo ponen.
Moshe Feinstein says, why did we lose so many Jews in America? I don't know, I don't think Panama is an issue, but in America, we have like non-Orthodox, 80% marrying Goyim, maybe 90. Gone. 80, 90%. Gone. If not Orthodox, gone. What happened? You know why? Because the father, 100 years ago, went to work. And on Friday afternoon, Habal Abayit of the business says, "You coming tomorrow?" What's tomorrow? Shabbat. No, I can't come. No, if you're not coming tomorrow to work, don't come back Monday. Don't come back. So the guy came home, he said, "Is it schwer sein to be a Yid? It's so hard to be Jewish." And so what did the child hear? That being Jewish is hard. And Rabbi Akiva says, that's how we lost half the book. Gone. Why? Because they didn't see the beauty in Judaism. The Judaism is a beautiful religion. He used to tell us that if a person is Shomer Shabbat v'Yom Tov, you're on vacation 1/6 of your life. 1/6 you're on vacation. You don't have to go to work. Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuot, the Hanukkah, the Shabbatot, just add it up. Baruch Hashem, right? So if you look at your Judaism as shver, as they say in Yiddish, as hard, then your outlook is going to be that way. I don't need it. You know what? Sometimes it kills me. Oh, I'll give you a story. Listen to this. A Moroccan girl calls me up and she says to me, "There's a shidduch I need your help in." 25-year-old guy, and he's going out. He's Bukharian, בחורה Bukharian, אבל דתיים. הוא הלך לתורה ודס. חשובה מאוד. Very, very religious. Sfaradim from Russia. We have millions of them in New York. So she says to me, it's dated. He's a Ben Torah. Why is he saying to her, "Yalla, let's get married"? 16 dates, yoter midai. It's already too much. It's lanu, the Olam Torah, 10 dates, 12 dates, 16, 18 now, and he's not sure. Talk to him. What's fine? Find out what's going on. So I started talking to him. I said, "Moshe, tell me, what do you do?" First of all, tell me about your life. He says, "Hashem, I went to Torah Vadas. I have 2 sisters living in Yerushalayim. Both my brother-in-laws are in Kollel. One is even a very big guy in Shas. He works for Aryeh Deri. Anyway, Datiyim Hazakim. What does he do? He's in real estate. And making money. He has a fancy sports car outside the house. Ferrari, I don't know what it was, Porsche. Anyway, so I tell him, "What's going on? I heard the girl is a good girl. Yalla. Seguro, close it. Get engaged." "I'm not sure. I don't feel like she knows me." So I said, "Open yourself up and let her get to know you." I can't. So somehow Hashem gives me siyata d'shmaya. I mean, his parents are very frum. They live in Borough Park. Borough Park is like Mea She'arim. It's like very religious. Tell me, what do you do on Shabbat? What do you do on Shabbos? Shabbat, he tells me, we eat, I go back to my room. I figured it out. "Are you on your cell phone on Shabbat?" "Yeah." Bam! I figured it out right away. So what's going on? "Well, I'm bored, I have nothing to do, Shabbat's so long." This is the message. If you don't appreciate Torah, if you don't appreciate the beauty of Shabbat and mitzvot, this is what happens. They take out the cell phone on Shabbat and we have problems. And that's why he was having a problem with the girl. He wasn't connecting. So I said to him, "No problem. Tell her you had a nisayon, bring her, I'll talk to her." "No, Rabbi, if she finds out, she'll kill me. She'll leave me." I said, "Tell her you had your tests, but you want to work on yourself to improve. You can work it out." I said, "You have to fix this. You come from a great family. Shabbat is like Mekor HaBeracha. I'm so happy myself that for 24 hours I don't have to touch this phone." You understand? So he says to me, "I'm not sure, I don't know." In the end, the shidduch didn't make it because he didn't have the courage to deal with the problem. That was the problem. So it's very important that we have to have a good attitude. I want to talk to you about something very important. You have to have a madrich in life, a rabbi to talk to, someone to guide you, because your rabbis are going to help you and shape you. This Rabbi Akiva was asked to speak at the opening of a new high school in New York. And he wasn't sure what to talk about. And then he figured it out. It was the dedication of a new high school. He asked the question. I don't know if you people know, do you know what the first yeshiva was in the last 300 years? What's the first yeshiva? Who started the first yeshiva? It was called Volozhin. It was started by the Vilna Gaon's student, Reb Chaim Volozhin. Reb Chaim did something very interesting. Until then, if you went to yeshiva or you learned Torah, you were called Talmidei HaYeshiva. Reb Chaim said, no more. Now you're going to be called Bnei HaYeshiva. Why did Reb Chaim change it? Lama. Why did Reb Chaim change the name from students of the yeshiva to sons of the yeshiva? Listen to this amazing answer. Davar nifla'ah. He says, when I came today, and he tells the people in the crowd, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. So I stopped a 12th grader in my high school. Amarti lo, Kinderlach, he says, my son, what's the difference between your kesher to your Hebrew teacher versus your math teacher or your science teacher? Tagidli, ma ha'hevdel? What's the difference? Listen to this incredible answer from someone your age, 12th grader. My Rebbe is like someone who nurses me. My teacher just gives me food. Here, eat. Difference. My English teacher just puts information in front of me. My Rebbe is like he nurses me. It's like a mother to a son. He's there for me. I can ask him questions. I can call him for guidance. He's going to be under my chuppah. He might even be mesader my kiddushin. That's why Reb Chaim changed it from Talmidei HaYeshiva to Bnei HaYeshiva. You're the sons of the Torah. It's a eternal ze kesher le'am forever, netzach. It's not like my math teacher, Shalom Aleichem, I'll see you, never see you again. The kesher to your Rebbe is la'ad olam. You're bnei, you're those sons. A son never divorces his mother. A son never divorces his father. It's a kesher forever. I'm loving this. I'm happy you guys gave me the chance to talk. This is my favorite stuff. Anyway, you have to understand something. Beyond, if you're not learning Torah Lishma, because you don't learn it just because you're supposed to learn it, learning Torah will make you smart. You could get something out of it. Why are the Jews the best lawyers? Because they learn Gemara, Davar Pashut. It's in the genes already. So the Jews are the best lawyers. You know? Shavua Lavra, I got an invitation. We're gonna make a singles event in New York, and we're inviting Alan Dershowitz. He's the biggest defender of Israel. He's a Harvard law professor. Anyway, so listen to this conversation. When the Medinat Yisrael was built, and David Ben Gurion was the prime minister, there was a law, they were trying to pass a law that the girls have to go into the Israeli army. Every girl, mehuyav. The religious world, right, what's called the Alama Yishuv, said, no way. We're not allowing our daughters to go into the Israeli army. That's mavet. For us, that's sakanata mavet. A girl to go in the Israeli army. I think, the Ada Yom, I know you're old, but I want to tell you, I hate to bring this up, but I have to tell you, I think there's already been 1 million abortions in the Israeli army since 1948. That tells us what's going on in the Israeli army. Okay, so, Totere, yeah. So anyway, So David Ben Gurion knows there's only one way he could pass the law. He's going to have a little conversation with the Chazon Ish. So he makes an appointment to speak to the Chazon Ish. And he tells him, we're a small country. We're surrounded by 20 Arab countries. We need everybody to participate in the army. So listen to the Chazon Ish tells him. In Mesechet Sanhedrin, there's a halakha. There's one road, listen carefully, there's one road. There's a wagon coming, and there's a wagon coming. One wagon has merchandise, one wagon has no merchandise. But only one wagon can pass at a time. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's the halakha? Who goes first?
Merchandise.
Yes. So listen to the mashal the Chazon Ish makes to David Ben Gurion. The wagon, the halakha, the psak halakha, is the wagon that has the chomer goes first, and the other one has to wait. Mr. Ben Gurion, we, the people who are Shomrei Torah Mitzvot, are carrying the merchandise of Torah and Mitzvot since Har Sinai. You abandoned it. You left it alone. You don't care about the Misorah. So we go first. And our daughters will not go into the army. Ben Gurion was in shock. He went back to the Knesset and he said to a man called Shlomo Lawrence, who was a religious guy, I have met smart people in my life, but I never saw a brilliant man like this Chazon Ish. How he just destroyed me in 1 minute. That's the power of Torah. That's the intelligence that comes from learning. And you could use that to get ahead in life. And that's very important. Now, you live in Panama. So I don't know a lot about Panama, but I know there's a lot of rich people there, good businessmen. So I'm gonna close with a very interesting story. True story. There's a man called Nachman Seltzer, a very big writer in Israel. He's an American. And he wrote a great story. There was a professor in America who wanted to do research. What makes a millionaire a millionaire? What nikuda? What's one point that makes a millionaire a millionaire? I want to know, is there one central point to all rich people?
Look.
Let's see what happens. So he calls a meeting in the university and he says, we're going to study 250 millionaires in America. We're going to send a student to live with each guy for 6 months. After 6 months, you're going to have to come back and give me a report of what you found out about that person that you lived with. Everyone understand so far? Yes. You good? Understand? Okay. So, 6 months later, the 250 students comes back and the professor is interested. Okay, what's your results? What did you find out? So, student number 1 says, I studied a guy who made money in jets. He kills everyone to get to the top. He sues everyone. He's fighting, he's like Donald Trump. Suing, fighting, doing. And anybody who gets in his way, he kills him. He crushes him. Now, whatever I have to do in order to be successful. So, number 1, number 2, number 5, number 50, number 100. Everyone is saying the same thing. The guy that they went to study, aggressive, hard guy, tough. Nobody gets in his way. When they come to 249, number 249, the student gets up and he gives his report. The guy that I went to study doesn't have enemies, not suing anybody, very nice guy, and is not killing anybody to get to the top. So the professor says, I don't understand. Everybody has the same report. Why is your guy different? No, let's send another 2 students to ask that question. So the guy that they were studying was a man who made millions of dollars in pharmacy. Okay? So they came to his house. He lives on the water in Long Island, in New York. And he said, Mr. Bigelow, you know we're studying you, and everyone else in the study has enemies, kills everyone to get to the top, sues everyone. Why are you different? And he tells them something very interesting. He says, that's the way I used to be. My father told me when I took over the business, listen, you have to be number one, and whoever gets in the way, you kill him, you crush him. Until 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we took a trip, me and 20 other billionaires, and we went to Europe to do some more business. We had an extra day vacation, so we hired a jet. We said, you know what, let's go to Israel. Let's invest some money in Israel. And we get to Israel, we have a tour guide. Tour guide tells us, would you like to see the country? We're going to take our helicopter. We finished early. So he said, you know what, we have 4 hours. I want to take you, I want to show you the biggest yeshiva in the world, the Mir Yeshiva. You guys are going to be very interested with this. These are American CEOs of companies that are not religious at all. And he says, you see that building? That's one of 6 buildings. There's 8,000 people in there. I'm going to ask you a question, he tells them. If you had a university in America of 8,000 students, how many professors would you need? He said, 400. You know how many we have here? 10. If you had to raise a $50 million budget, how many people would you need? 150 secretaries. Here you have one person, the Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Zvi Finkel. If you had 8,000 students, how many meters would you need as a campus? He says 700,000. Here you have, each student has a half a meter. Let's go inside and take a look. They were outside the building. Nichnasu lebit midrash l'mir, and he goes, we're in shock. Everyone's learning Torah, and no one's looking at us. We're millionaires. Nobody even cares. They're steiging, they're learning. He goes, there's no place to sit. They're on the table, they're underneath the stairs. There's no place. And they don't even care about us. So now the guide says, Madrich says, now the best is coming. Let's go meet the CEO, the Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Zvi Finkel, Alav Shalom. So they go upstairs. You know, imagine if he's the dean of Harvard or NYU, you expect a gorgeous apartment, maybe looking at the Kotel with big panorama windows. He goes, we walk in, this is the guy from the study. We walk into his apartment, broken furniture, books everywhere, no place to sit, and a man that's smiling. Now, listen to this is the most important part of the story. Gentlemen, how are you? He greets them, and he was a sick man. He had Parkinson's disease. Okay? He says, I heard you came to visit my yeshiva today. Tell me something, gentlemen. I have a question to ask you. Rav Nosson Tzvi asks them, what's the difference between a man and an animal? Tell me. What's the difference between a man and a behemah? I want to know. He tells them, I'll answer for you. A behemah, if an animal is hungry, he doesn't say please, he doesn't thank you, he just grabs. Gentlemen, today you saw the difference between a behemah and an adam. Today you saw human beings, not animals. That's why in my yeshiva, each person has a half a meter and is sameh b'chelko. They're adam, they're human beings, they're not animals. Today you learned what a human being is. That's the lesson. So the man tells the guy, back to our story with the investigation, all my life I thought that to make money, I had to kill the competition. I had to speak Lashon Hara. I had to do things to destroy them. And then when I went to Israel and I saw what happened with the Mir Yeshiva, I don't have to kill the competition. I don't have to speak Lashon Hara. I don't have to say bad things about my competition, and I can get ahead. I changed my life. That's why I'm not like the 249 other people in the Chakirah. That's why I'm different. Thank you so much for giving me the time to speak to you today. I wish you only Hatzlacha, Beracha, and Be'ezat Hashem, we should dance at all your weddings soon.
Amen. Amen.